Welcome to the Red Dirt Film Podcast with Marisa
and Damon. Each week we let you in on what's happening in the film world
and review a film, including interviews, contests, and more.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to podcast number 6. This is October the 4th, 2016.
Is it?
It is.
That's the
it's 5th. You're right. It's the 5th. October the 5th. Okay, so, movie news. What do we have this week?
Let's talk about the live-action Lion King.
All right, so, Disney had a huge success with Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella, which we still need to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they did their live-action Maleficent film. What was the other one?
So good.
There was another recent one. The Beauty and the Beast one we've been talking about.
Right.
But so they have tapped Jon Favreau to bring The Lion King into a live-action world. Jon Favreau, the very famous director of such films as Swingers and Maid and Chef. He often has shown up in...
How are they going to do this live action? Like, it's all are
animals.
they going to use real animals?
They're going to use photoreal CGI.
Okay.
I have to say, for me, The Lion King's one of the weakest Disney entries, but I'm sure everyone else is going to be going ape over this.
All right, well. Going ape?
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
Oh, he did the,
You need to say going Rafiki.
Okay.
He's not an ape, I don't think so.
They did, Jon Favreau just did the live-action Jungle Book, which I also need to see, but I understand was stellar.
Yes.
It has like a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, like really well done. And so he was a natural person to go to.
I think for one of our shows we should watch all of those and compare them.
We should.
And talk about them. So
I would enjoy that.
Let's do that.
What else do we have?
The restoration of Phantasm.
Yes, Phantasm. I'm really excited to see this. Phantasm Ravager, which is the 5th in the series and the final one, and it kind of is the final because the lead actor died recently, right after filming part 5.
I know this will shock you, but I don't even know what this is.
You probably have no idea what
I've
I'm
never
talking
heard
about.
of Phantasm. It's fun to say.
Yeah, it really is. Phantasm is a 1979 film, which it's unlike anything you'll ever see. It's really interesting. It has quite a cult following, but hopefully with this
they're redoing it.
It's already been, it's been a 4K restoration. Okay. It was a little low-budget film back in '79. A little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of horror.
They didn't remake it. They restored the original.
Right. It has a great score, wonderful direction. Don Coscarelli is the director of the series. He is an amazing filmmaker. He did films such as Bubba Hotep with Bruce Campbell playing Elvis. He did one of my most personal favorite films, The Beastmaster from 1982. So this new restoration, it is a 4K digital restoration. It was supervised by J.J. Abrams. I understand that J.J. Abrams helped to make this possible because he's such a fan of this film. Cool. But it will be in theaters beginning October the 7th, on a double bill with the 5th film. So for anyone who saw the original one a long time ago and maybe you want to check it out again, I understand the print. There have been rave reviews about the print of this, and so it'd be nice to check that out along with the film that ties it all up. I have to admit I've not seen parts 2 through 4, but I kind of want to now that this is out, and I can go ahead and get them all together in one big dose.
Cool. Right, so Tim Burton has made some comments.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting thing that hit the news. It was trending a few days ago. I'm not sure why this made such a splash, but Tim Burton's newest film, which is based on the very famous young adult novel, And Marisa texts while we are on the podcast.
Sorry. I am good at multitasking, but I have things that have to be done. So I'm sorry.
There's a film which most of you probably have heard of, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
Yes, I've actually heard of this.
Yes, it was a very famous book.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest young adult novels of the
I've
past
never read it.
few years. Tim Burton just made a live-action adaptation of it. Anyway, in his comments, he got in a lot of trouble because he pointed out something during the course of an interview. He said, I guess someone called...
Did he say that all children are peculiar?
Yeah, that would have been more accurate. Someone called him out on use of white actors in his films, a lack of diversity. I guess people were especially concerned about lack of diversity in this film. He said, nowadays people are talking about it more, but things either call for things or they don't. I remember back when I was a child watching The Brady Bunch, and they started to get all politically correct, like, okay, let's have an Asian child and a black. I used to get more offended by that than just... I grew up watching blaxploitation movies, right? And I said, that's great. I didn't go like, okay, there should be more white people in these movies. So, that comment that he made, people have been ripping him apart over.
Really?
Yeah, because...
But I don't disagree, so will I be
and neither do I. And
really?
I do not disagree. I agree that whatever the material is that you're dealing with kind of dictates...
But I mean, when you do a casting call... It's sort of like, I need a middle-aged white man, or I need, an Asian woman in these ages, or I need someone who's sort of chubby. I mean, You tell the truth in a casting call of what you're needing for your film.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to... I have no problem with races, lots of races being in things, but for specific films, right?
Yes.
You need specific actors.
Yeah, and Tim Burton has worked with many different... he's worked with a very diverse cast over the years, depending on what film was involved. But Tim Burton's aesthetic is rather Western European Gothic in sensibility. It makes sense that he would not be casting a lot of Easterners or, perhaps... I mean, it just really depends on the role, what the role is. And,
right.
So... I just found it very curious. I thought it would be fun to discuss why with this film was he attacked suddenly, and why is this such an issue?
Right.
I mean, he's basically not saying that he is biased or bigoted in any way. He was just saying, the source material dictates it be a certain way, and that's what I'm going with. But for being true to that, he has been attacked.
Well, I don't know. Political correctness, I don't know. I guess it has its place, but I think that sometimes we just go overboard. It's like we just want to argue about things.
Yeah. So, anyway, we could go on and on about that, but...
Yes, we could.
Yes, we shall.
But let's talk about something else that's so happy. The
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
It's Breakfast at Tiffany's, which... is one of my favorite films of all time.
It is the best romantic films ever. If you have any shred of romantic spirit within your heart, you will adore this film.
And of course, it's an Audrey Hepburn classic. And I just love Audrey anyway. She's great and everything. But we're doing this. I like that we do classics once in a while. Because a lot of people may have heard of Breakfast at Tiffany's, but never actually seen it.
Yeah, most people think that she plays a character named Tiffany.
Oh, dear. This would be the Tiffany's jewelry store we're talking about in New York.
Uh-huh.
But Audrey Hepburn plays Holly Golightly. And how would you describe her character? She's a little zany. She has a good heart.
She's a mystery, even to the viewer, through and through. We never quite are sure of who she is, and part of that is the fact that she does not even know who she is until the last moment of the film.
Right.
And
Right.
it's worth mentioning that the screenplay was based on the Truman Capote novel of the same name. In the Truman Capote novel, she actually plays a call girl. And this film, directed by Blake Edwards of Pink Panther fame, he actually turned out an incredibly faithful rendition from the novel into the film adaptation. But this film rides so well on the casting of Audrey Hepburn,
Yes,
and on the musical score.
it does. And the sort of esoteric at times love interest, Paul Varjak, is played by George Papard.
From the A-Team.
He, he's fantastic also. A good match, the two of them. They were well casted. And then Mickey Rooney, who plays Mr. how do you say his name? Uniyoshi.
Yep.
It's so funny to see him in that role. And, he's just classic, wonderful.
Now there, following up on the Tim Burton discussion, there's a point of contention. A lot of people have leveled criticism against this film over the past few decades because of the fact that Blake Edwards had a Westerner portraying a Asian in a very cliche, stereotypical manner.
Yes.
I do have to admit that for me, those are the only moments of the film where I wince a little bit. It is a little uncomfortable, but I also know how to put it in context and realize that, for the time, this was not out of the ordinary. I'm not condoning that. Mickey Rooney is a wonderful actor. He does a great job in the role. I still think it was a little bit insensitive, but that to me does not diminish the overall film.
I think that it adds to a little bit of the there's a little offbeat hilarity kind of in the background of a serious story, don't you think?
Yeah, the film is listed.
I think that he just adds to a little bit of the crazy that's going on.
Yeah, this film came out in 1961, and it's a little bit of everything. It is a comedy, it's also a romance, it's a drama, it's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
For me, I think with the use of the music and just the overall tone of the story, it's one of the most romantic films ever. Moon River, I find very humorously that theme song that came from the film, when it was written by Henry Mancini, it was laughed at by a lot of the executives.
It's one of the most heartening, simple, beautiful parts of the entire film, where she's sitting out there on the fire escape playing, is it a ukulele?
Yeah, ukulele.
And she's singing this, and she's not all dressed to the nines like she is sometimes when she goes out,
Right.
She has kind of her hair in a bandana, and she's kind of like she's been cleaning up the apartment, and she's just sort of out there. I think the thing about Holly Golightly, the character, is that she's really good at living in the moment. And I think sometimes it's almost a little uncomfortable for us because maybe we see some fallout that could happen, or we're thinking ahead a little bit in the film.
Yeah.
But she really lives in the moment where she is, and she lives it fully.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah, most certainly.
And then Buddy Ebsen's in this.
Yes.
And he plays Doc Golightly.
He is wonderful.
And he really is. And then, oh my goodness, John MacGyver. Is that how we say it? MacGyver?
Not sure.
I don't know either, but a famous actor in so many things. He plays the salesman in Tiffany's. And, oh my goodness, he's just kind of great. Anyway,
he's wonderful.
He's so good at having that sort of deadpan face and just kind of helping them when they're kind of being crazy. But he kind of warms up to them over time.
Yes.
And he's still a little bit withholds, I don't know. It was very, very well done. And of course, the cat in the most famous scene from this, the cat's name was Orangey in real life. And no one from this film is still living except for one of the women who played an actress in it. So talking about this really kind of feels like is kind of nostalgic. Most of them have died in the last decade, and so we've seen them in so many things. But Breakfast at Tiffany's is just such a classic story of, like you said, kind of her coming into herself and figuring out who she is and what she really wants.
Mm-hmm.
And also, George Papard's character, Paul Varjak, is doing the same thing in his own way.
Yeah.
And they kind of help each other get there.
Right. Yeah, some other elements that kind of differed a little bit from the original novel. She was described... Not described. I don't remember how overtly she was described as being bisexual in the novel, but that is something that was retained for the film in a way. There's a scene where they visit a strip club, and her escort that night is visibly bored at the club, but
yes.
She tends to be having a great time. It's interesting to know that Moon River was written specifically for her to sing. She had no training with singing. That was something that because it was written for her vocal range. She did a great job.
Yes.
I mentioned earlier that Henry Mancini had done the music.
Right.
Johnny Mercer, he takes co-credit for that song. And like I was trying to say earlier, when that song was first presented, someone at the studio, some executives felt that it was horrible. They described it as, I can't remember the exact wording, but they thought it was just a travesty. We are not going to use this song.
Well,
and
thinking about, because we've heard it and it's familiar, but thinking about, okay, we're going to show up and let these executives hear it, and not having it in the context of seeing the film, playing out, I can see them kind of being like, of all of the great songs in film, this is really kind of simple. I mean, it's very just sort of simply done. It's not a big production, which of course they could have done. But when you see it in the film, you can't really imagine, can you, it being any other way?
No.
It needed that calm, tender moment there.
Audrey Hepburn, actually, she was a big cheerleader for it. Essentially, the executive said, well, I think the first thing we can do is get rid of that stupid song. When they first screened the film, Audrey Hepburn stood up at the table and said, "Over my dead body."
Well, there you go.
That's why the song stayed in the picture, and the song went on to be nominated at the Academy Awards. I can't remember. I'm not going to make it up. I don't know if it actually won Best Song, but it was at least, I know, nominated that year. It was, and that's one of the most memorable songs.
Yes.
And just, as a kind of final note from me, I want to mention that Mickey Rooney, I'm just seeing this information here. Mickey Rooney had this to say later in life about his role as a Japanese person. He says, looking back, I wish I had never done it, and I would give anything to be able to recast it. So apparently he had some thoughts on that down the line. But, like you said, it kind of adds to the feeling of offbeat atmosphere that this film has. It's something unlike most films that you have ever seen. So definitely check it out.
It's a great fall movie. For some reason, it just feels good in the fall. I don't know why.
It really does.
So, it's great with a cup of hot chocolate and, snuggle up. Watch Breakfast at Tiffany's. Let us know what you think. And I guess that kind of wraps us up for today. Hope everyone has a great day.
Yep. Indeed. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel that carries these podcasts, as well as look for us on iTunes in the very near future. That should be up any day now.
And check out our website, reddirtfilm.com.
And do not forget, we have tons of extras. What you are hearing right now is only a piece of what we have to offer podcast-wise. We have a lot of extras, a lot of interviews, a lot of bloopers, fun things. If you want to sign up for the $4.99 a month service, go to our website that Marisa just mentioned, and you can take care of that there.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, everyone, take care.
Bye.
Goodbye.